I've been recommended to play this game since the day I started the channel, and well, today is the day. Torchlight 1 is a game where you go down a bunch of floors to go fight a big baddie that lives at the bottom. If that sounds familiar but doesn't ring a bell, let me help you. That is the exact plot of Diablo 1. I'm here to have fun, by the way, so I'm not putting the game on masochist mode just yet. That'll be next playthrough. For my first character, I am going with the Vanquisher. Not for a particular reason, I just like playing the ranged character archetype. I'll get into the others at some point or another as well. We start out in the small town of Torchlight, which is kind of screwed right now cause it's a mining town that can't access its mine. Our little big adventure starts out with getting a couple of quests thrown at us. Vasman wants us to find an ember for him, and Syl wants us to go and save Brink, who is chasing Elric. So we've got our work cut out for us. Time to dive in. The first level of the mine is just your standard get to know the game song and dance we've all done before. It's a beautiful dance, but this time around it's not very complicated. You click on a thing, you kill the thing, you click on the next thing, you kill that. Rinse and repeat for that glorious dopamine loop we all crave more than the sweetness of fresh air itself. That gleaming ember Vasman asked for is found easily enough. It's right there while you're working your way through the Orden mines. Floor 2 starts out with us hitting level 2 as well, which is always a nice moment to go and look at what we are working with. Skill tree wise, none of this will look out of place to anyone who has ever seen a skill tree. There are 3 trees and all of them have a bunch of things going on to support different builds, which I'll talk about throughout the video when things become relevant. I figured a marksman, or markswoman in this case, sounded fun. For my first skill, I decided on ranged weapon expertise. I have no idea what I'm going to build into, or how things are going to look, but minus requirements and extra damage sound like surefire winners no matter what way I end up swinging. Then of course there are the stats. Starting from the top we have 2 experience bars, one for our level, which is worked through with experience, the other is for fame, which you get for killing famous monsters. If that sounds vague, it's just super uniques. Everything with a name adds to this bar. Leveling up in the old-fashioned way gets you 1 skill point and 5 stats. Leveling up your fame gets you 1 skill point as well, but no stat points. This is an amazing system cause it helps you get through the drudgery of the early game quicker thanks to your build being online sooner rather than later, making it so that you spend less time working your way towards skills and more time enjoying them. I decided to add 5 dexterity, by the way. When killing things quickly for loot is the goal, damage is king after all. And looking at how long it's taking me to deal with a random spider, we are going to need as much as we can get. We also way underestimated the final boss and how much damage we would need for that, but that I'll talk about when we get there. On floor 2 we find Brink, who is in over his head and gladly accepts our help to go fight the monster he is chasing. It's not long before a big upgrade to our damage happens with a rifle, or to be more specific, a small bombard falling from a weapon rack, taking us up to 43 damage. Before continuing to help Brick, I went back to Vasman to give him the ember. As a reward, we get a level up and asked to go and look for another one. Varkasir, the monster the robot asked us to defeat, is found on the 3rd floor. We didn't have to look for it or anything, it's just right there on the way. Completing the quest is followed up by getting caught off guard and getting to the always iconic first death of the run. I thought it was just me getting used to the game, but I realized later on in the run that this game is just really fucking terrible at warning you when you are in danger. Luckily, death isn't that big of a deal. We get 3 options to continue playing. We can spawn in right here at the cost of experience and fame, spawn back at the start of the level, and for our final choice we can spawn back in town at the cost of nothing. Losing double experience due to dying is a brutal penalty and will result in leveling up less with all the consequences of that. And starting back in town is annoying cause it's a huge walk. So I paid the fine and walked from the start every single time. The first couple floors are still small, so it's no big deal. There is no foreshadowing here, by the way. In the dank chamber we encounter our first boss. Brink has gone over the brink of corruption and is now stopping us from moving on. They did a fantastic job with this fight. I love this guy as a first boss. He has your basic Nova Circle style explosion thingy and is slow but hits like a truck while being tankier than the enemies you have faced so far. To make up for him being slow, he spawns crystals around you to block you from kiting around, be it by being in your way or just exploding and killing you. All of this combines into allowing you to fight something more challenging than you have encountered so far while not being overly complicated. Exactly what a first boss should be like and a very enjoyable encounter. Boss fights are something this game got right almost every single time, except for one. I had a good time with all of them, a great accomplishment in itself. Upon his demise some more story happens. Back in town, Hatch has a quest where he wants us to go and grab an item. It's in the crypt of the Chronicler. Now the big difference between regular areas and the portals Hatch opens for you is that you can't open town portals in them. Now I normally treat town hubs like they are the bubonic plague and try to spend as little time as possible in them. So except for one time that I'll talk about when it happens, and I managed to circumvent anyway cause I turned on my brain for a bit. This didn't make a difference at all to me, but it's supposed to be an extra challenge. The tome he asked for is just laying there on the ground uncontested by the way. The boss protecting it is just taking a nap to the left of it, just outside of the screen. So it's just there. You walk up and grab it and the quest is done, putting it solidly in the one of the quests of all time category. I did kill the boss out of principle, but I could have just walked on no problem. Upon exiting the portal you get the rewards and Hatch opens another portal straight away. The main quest continues on as well, and the robot wants you to take out Baradstein the Pestilent on floor 5. Because it's in a different area and not part of the main road down, I started with Hatch's portal. This time it leads to the abandoned tunnels. In here I reached level 6 and decided that I am going to play the archetype of the Frost Maiden, a ranged build utilizing cold damage for crowd control. To this end I started putting points into Frost Pylum. Frost Pylum has you shooting a blue beam, which I'm presuming is cold damage, but I can't tell the slow effect at all. The damage isn't particularly great either. I'm sure that it will get better on higher skill levels though. At the end of the tunnels I pick up the Jade figurine, Falcon, and return it to Hatch, who explains to me how rude NPCs are in this game by not talking to me again when he doesn't have work for me to do. With that done, let's get back to the main quest. One thing I noticed is that sometimes when you enter a floor you get a bit of plot thrown at you, and you can already tell from the way I'm talking about the plot and the story. It just didn't do it for me. I'm guessing it's just a budget thing, but they butchered the delivery. My problem isn't even with the quality of the story, that's pretty whatever, but it's text on a JPEG. I can understand not having money to make cinematics, but at least try to have something going on. Completely unrelated side note here by the way, I get a lot of emails from people asking me how to do YouTube videos, and here is rule number 1, and I'm mentioning it cause Torchlight doesn't follow it, making it a great example to show why it's the number 1 rule. Always have something going on. It doesn't matter in the slightest what is going on. Just always have something moving, something making sound, and keep the pacing going. Doesn't need to be complicated either. The simple matter is that our eyes are just made to focus on moving things, and things that aren't moving are boring. This static screen would be much better if it did something like this. Or this. With that being said, let's get back to it. Floor 5 of the Tomb of the Awakened has us finding the Deathlace Ember that the wizard was looking for, so we get to check off another quest. It was protected by a phase beast, an enemy that opens a portal to another area when it dies. The phase portal ends up taking us to the Asterian ruins, a jungle ruin with a bit of a difficulty spike thanks to the level 7 monsters. These areas are quite small, but that works out for them. Just a couple of unique monsters and some loot. What more do you really need? Upon completing this, I went back to Vaznan and gave him the ember, prompting him to ask for a third ember. And at this point I think most people have picked up on it. The side quests are quite lame in the membrane. It's just a couple dudes asking you to do the same thing over and over again. A big whiff and a miss on the game's end. I got into another optional area. This one is called the Crypt, and it's in here that I ended up finding the first unique of the run, a pair of mysterious boots. The Serpent Greaves have health stolen on hit, some mana and some fire resistance with a socket to use as you see fit. I'll need more defense if I want to wear them. Back in the Tomb of the Awakened, I end up completing the quest for glory without even noticing I had encountered my target. It's truly just rinse repeat on the side quests, so from here on out, I'll let you know when I kill or grab a thing, but it's just all the same repeated a ton of times, so you're not missing out by me blasting through them in seconds. Next up we have the Lair of the Sisters, which I kid you not, is a lair with some sisters. I'm sure they are relevant to the story, but a lot of plot points can be solved by shooting things in the face. The Overseer's Chamber is host to the next big boss fight of the run. The Overseer itself is just your standard mage style boss fight. We've all seen tons of iterations of this these days, but this game is almost old enough to vote, so I'm not going to hold that against it. And keeping that in mind, it does an amazing job holding up. This is another just fun boss fight. Good design doesn't have to be complicated. I'm a big quality focused guy, so I'll take something old but well done over something flashy but generic every day of the week. After the fight, I ended up getting very confused. There was nowhere on the map for me to go. It turned out though that the game just doesn't show bridges and stairs on the map. I for the life of me don't understand why they did the map like this. At first it doesn't sound too bad at all. Just run around and find the bridge. It's not that hard. Now, imagine you live in Western Europe and need to drive to the United Kingdom. I can't imagine why. Maybe you really like rain or something. I don't fucking know. There is a tunnel between France and the UK, and if you take any map, you can see that it's right there. Imagine though that this map was made by the Torchlight development team. This time around the bridge is gone from the map, and I wish you good fucking luck finding it. It's not like there is over 3,000 kilometers of Atlantic coastline to look for it, or over 1850 miles for the eagle impaired viewers among us. Having found my way, I end up in the Asterian antechamber. Here you get 3 options. It doesn't matter which one you do first, you'll need to clear all of them anyway to open the 4th one. All of them are in the beautiful jungle ruin style we saw from the phase portal earlier. It's a great design, so I'm happy to spend more time in it. We also complete another quest for glory here, by the way. More importantly though, a unique rifle ends up dropping here. It turns out to be the Ice Dragon. This thing is perfect for my build. A casual ×4 on my damage, a 35% to all my ice damage specifically as well, and 10% pet and minion damage. Surely now I can be the Frost Maiden I have always wanted to be. And cause I haven't talked about my skills in a bit, here's my skill tree. I'm putting points into Adventurer now as well. I figured that if I level more, I'll naturally be able to become stronger. Now if you're planning to grind indefinitely, you wouldn't need this, but I have no such plans, despite the extra cold damage from the new cannon. Ricochet is still easily outperforming Frost Pylum. I'll put a few more points in the Pylum for science, maybe that will fix it. I don't know, but I think our new weapon might just be a tad bit overpowered. While I do end up finding something stronger later on in the run, this is pretty much good enough to wipe the floor with the next 15 floors, and if you push a bit harder it could easily clear the entire game. Some Torchlight experts could probably confirm or deny this, but if it's not at least a top tier weapon, I can't imagine what would be. Along the way through the jungle ruins I found an enchant shrine, which is a shrine that gives you a free attempt at enchanting an item. I'll explain the mechanics more later when it comes into play, but for now just know that I rolled a godly +6 to poison damage on my 1000 damage rifle. This made no difference at all, I was just destroying everything in the blink of an eye anyway, but I thought it was funny. With no clue of what could happen, I decided to enchant my boots in town as well, which ended up with me losing all my mods on them. It's a good thing I picked up a second pair along the way, so I grabbed those from the stash. It's almost time to move on, but not before wasting 3 more points on Frost Pylum, all things considered. Putting 6 points into this has been a waste that annoyed me the entire rest of the game. Even with that big of an investment, this skill doesn't do anything and is a waste of time and resources. Having picked up all 3 of the quest items, it's time to head into the 4th portal. It turns out to be nothing more than a straight line to the waypoint. There are a few trash mobs in the way, but nothing too special is going on here. With a new checkpoint in the collection, I figured it's as good a time as any to do another of Hatch's portals. It's the exact same thing as the first few times, so after picking up the quest item without any resistance whatsoever, I give it to Hatch and he opens up another portal for me to do a fetch quest in. While playing fetch for Hatch, I come across a mysterious armor. It turns out to be the bone chest. It has a ton of electrical resistance. I'm pretty far off its stat requirement wise, and unless the game tells me different, I have zero interest in dedicating any points into defenses. After returning the lyre, Vasman has another ember for us to find, which I'm sure we'll just come across naturally when we continue on with the main quest. I find the Tutara caverns a beautiful addition to the game, with its only downside being the whole not showing bridges on the map thing this game has going on. This entire area is a collection of small interconnected islands that work together as a giant area. It's a really cool idea that I wish more games did, but it's ruined here because what happens is that after 20 minutes you have no clue which island connects to what other island and which ones have bridges that you may or may not have checked. For me, this resulted in just running through and hoping I haven't missed anything. And I guarantee you I have. If only there was a way to fix this, maybe like a thing on your screen that shows you where the bridges are that you haven't checked. I'm just spitballing, but I think something like that would have helped a lot. That's not the only problem I had on this map. I ended up reaching a blocked off area that I couldn't figure out and got stuck on for quite a bit. What turned out to be the case here is that the enemies are blocking my view of a gate, so I couldn't tell that all I needed to do here was to click on said gate to open it and continue on my merry way. The only way I ended up figuring this out is thanks to my pet. Every time it would stop fleeing, it tried to attack the monsters, which made them move around and showed me that there is a fence there that I could open. I still had to maneuver them into a position where I would be able to click the fence, but I've done worse, so I'll wrangle them for a bit until I can open the gate. As expected, I came across another quest for glory along the way. I don't know if the maps are randomly generated or always the same, so I can't tell you if I'm lucky or if the ember is the worst hidden item in the history of gaming. Either way, it's right there when I start floor 18 of the cavern. caverns. Having returned that, I decided it was time to clear another one of Hatch's portals. It's just more of the same from what I just went through, which is cool and all, but the maps are getting bigger and bigger every floor, so there really isn't a need to add more of them. Earlier in the video I mentioned that the warning system in this game is ass, so here's an example of why. As you will be able to tell, there is no visual cue whatsoever that you are close to death, and the audio cue is much too late. Now I can just look at the health bar every second like it's an RTS map, but having a visual heads up would be a godsend. After having descended the caverns, we find ourselves in the vast chasm. Now besides the obvious, your mom is a vast chasm joke. This is also home to the next boss fight. Ember Colossus has a wide variety of elemental attacks and is resistant to elemental damage, which we aren't dealing. It's very obvious we aren't the intended target for this fight, so he isn't much of a problem for us, and a couple seconds later he is deleted from existence and we get to move on to the next biome. The molten prison is my favorite area in the entire game. It's a giant goblin-filled lava area with a huge prison in it. If anything, the design of the areas in this game is phenomenal. A mysterious belt dropped here from one of those goblins. It turned out to be the assassin belt. It has defense, dexterity, increased missile range, more potion effectiveness and triple resistances to fire, ice and poison. I don't think I could have dreamed up a belt this good for our build. While I have no clue how a belt would improve my range, I'll still gladly wear it. At the bottom of the lava world is the prison stronghold, home of the Trollmaster and Crag. We end up almost taking them down on the first try, but he hits pretty hard, so we have to do a quick respawn.
My health is low.
Back in the battle, it's short work to finish the fight. Just like the other bosses, the Trollmaster is focused on beating one archetype of player. It's pretty obvious to me that the one this thing is wanting to fight is the melee warrior. So as a ranged player, it's not a bad fight for us. First, the Trollmaster goes down, and that is followed up in quick succession by Crag getting out of our way. Before doing that, Hatch has another quest for us, bringing us to the derelict prison. This is another one of the lovely lava levels that I personally am thoroughly enjoying. What I'm less pleased about is the part where my survivability is starting to catch up with me. Now this could be because of my own decision of not spending anything on survivability at all. But let's be real, I don't make bad decisions ever, so that can't be it. I'm also just going to say words to fill space for a bit, cause look at how cool this multi-layered lava fortress with the weird choice of wooden bridges looks. I can't express enough just how much I love the lava areas in the game. They are so well done and a joy to travel through while clearing your quests. Lovely lava land is followed up with the Lost Fortress, a spike trap filled area that showcases the beauty of the level designs in this game even more. Using the shadows to great effect, the traps are well hidden during the chaos of battle. I don't have a lot of things to talk about here. We are at the part of the game where I have a big rifle and they have a big forehead and don't move very fast. But I think it would be a disservice to not mention a cool design like this, even though I am just blasting my way through without being contested very much. On floor 26 I come across another phase beast. After defeating it, a portal to the Black Castle opened, where I got taught that this game has no problems just spawn camping you, for the first time but not the last time. The game just attacks me while I'm still getting adjusted to where I am. This little side area is where I met my least favorite person on the planet, Mr. Consequences of my actions. So far I have spent very few of my resources into the defensive part of building a character. Despite the occasional death here and there, I just didn't think it was necessary. In that sense, the Black Palace is a heads up to prevent me from soft-locking progress later on in the game. A giant warning to stop fucking around before it gets to the finding out part. The good news here is that there still is time to fix things. It does require us to shift our focus fully on defenses from here on out if we want to stop getting one-tapped. By the way, check out the sick dragon. And the dragon I got sick of. Hatch sends us to the ancient fortress, a very familiar looking area. I don't know if things get randomly generated or not, but I encountered a few monsters that are just stuck in the areas they spawned in, so I'm going to give a nod into the direction of randomness. Reaching the end of the ancient fortress, we pick up the labyrinthine device, marking off yet another quest for Hatch. Back in the main quest, the Lost Fortress has a bit of a swimming pool going on, cause why wouldn't you in a castle 26 floors down a mine? This forces me to mention that there is fishing in the game. I did this twice in total, once to check out the mechanic and once to capture this footage to make sure I could add it to the video. If it isn't clear yet, I didn't care about this mechanic, so I just didn't interact with it. But this is here to safeguard my sanity by preventing the comment section being a million people telling me that there is fishing in the game. Floor 27 has a big part of the plot happening. Somewhere between booting up the game and getting to here, our character got infected with whatever is infecting all of Torchlight. And here we are taking it out. It gets interrupted by some more plot. After the plot is done plotting, we make our way to floor 28, and I don't know why, but it generated the same layout for me as floor 25 and the hatch quest. A bit of a downer, cause replaying the exact same layout for the third time took a lot of pacing out of the game. It picked up again later on, but floor 28 was a huge dip. Another thing I should mention is that your pet is a mercenary and a mule and is able to sell the stuff they have in their inventory. It's pretty neat. They also have a couple of stances, one offensive, one defensive and one passive. It's designed very intuitively, so it's a big you get what you click on thing. But like with the fishing, I don't want to spend the next 4 months getting told your pet can do stuff. Upon your pet returning from town, you get a message telling you how much gold they brought you. This message pauses the game and feels exactly like when you are playing a 2-player game and the other person's finger slips and pauses the game. It's nothing terrible or anything, just can be quite jarring. The Lost Fortress boss is a group of random enemies spearheaded by one that's bigger than the rest. I ended up tanking and shooting it until it died. What ended up as the first weapon upgrade in 20 floors was a powerful epic gravel shot handgun. It almost has the same damage as my rifle while being a one-hander, freeing up a slot for a potential shield. Now I'm saying potential because I don't have a shield yet, so for now I just added a second handgun. I don't think it added anything at all because of how my character is built skill wise, but not using the slot felt kinda wrong. There are passives for dual wielding in the game, so in a future playthrough I'll have to check out how good that build is. I don't know how this kind of stuff keeps happening, but after changing weapons and deciding I need a shield, I entered floor 30, the Black Palace, which is filled with all sorts of really cool dragons and another seek and destroy quest for our metallic friend, which ends up rewarding me a mysterious shield. It turns out to be the epic family emblem, which has a huge list of stuff I can use to get rid of the whole dying in one hit thing that has been going on. Now I didn't ask for this, but dear universe, I need $1 million. Just gonna casually toss that out there. I can't equip it yet though. I need 17 extra strength or 3.5 levels worth of stats. If only the developers had put the big black mushroom quest in this game instead of Diablo, that would have been solved no problem. Instead, it's time to push on and get my experience the old-fashioned way, one monster at a time. I've raved about this a lot, so this will be the last time. But look at how beautiful this area is. I for one am vibing with the dark purple based theme we have going on here. I never expected such an old game to be this pretty without modding. Story wise, and I mean this video's story with that, not the in-game story. There isn't a lot going on these floors, it's just me spending almost an hour per floor trying to get to the end of them, while not having the tankiness I need spending a lot of time running back. I think the biggest improvement here would be splitting up the floors more. Towards the ends, the run back started taking minutes, and I know I can sacrifice my hard-earned experience and fame, but I just can't get myself to do it. I'd rather take the walk, so it's a self-made problem. Besides that, I loved every second of these floors. The game was just mean on floor 31. Before I even had time to get used to my surroundings, I got ambushed and spawn camped. Now I know this makes sense from a strategical point of view, but it's rude and I don't like it when games do that. Floor 31 turned out to be a boss fight with Shade, who is resistant to ranged attacks, so instead of shooting it a few times, I shot it a lot. Not with ricochet, but with arrow hail, the final of the ranged skills, and the secondary skill I've not been using either. I've mentioned it before, but I have only been enjoying ricochet so far. All the other offensive skills fell flat for me. It's a good thing I have arrow hail though, it ended up saving the run. Back in town after the fight, I talked to Hatch, who is looking for a golden throwbat. I also think it's funny he tells me I can keep all the other stuff I find. If I wanted to, I could keep the items he is looking for as well. I mean, what's he gonna do about it? The Palace Rim is just more of what we just did. The only rule on this quest still is that I can't use a town portal to go back home. But I have 37 potions, so I figured that wouldn't be much of a problem. I don't know what to think about the name Demon Drinker the Blasted. I thought we were playing video games here and not just Rule 34ing some spiders. If the spider enemies look familiar in how they fight, yes, they are just straight ripped from Diablo 2, and that's okay. I would rather see them extensively borrowing fantastic designs from other games than reinventing the wheel every time, especially considering they made that game as well. Anyway, our Rule 34 spider got me there as well, as I hit another level up on its demise, almost getting me to the strength requirement for the shield, one more level to go. I mentioned earlier that I assumed that having 37 potions would be fine. It turns out that it wasn't and I ran out. This left me with two options. The first one was to just run to the portal and wrap up the quest. The problem with that, however, is that it would leave survivors, and I'm not about their lives. The second option is a bit of a gamble. I noticed earlier that Hatch didn't close the portal until I talked to him and gave him the item he had asked for. So my plan was to run away from the double boss fight and take the portal at the end of the area, cause I can't just make a town portal, but I can definitely use that. Then I don't finish the quest by talking to Hatch and instead go buy potions and dive back in. This ended up working swimmingly. It did put me at the start of the first floor of the area again, but what's another run back among friends? Stocked up and ready to go, I dealt with the ghost that was more like fog and returned the dragon to his cradle of filth. Back in town, I talked to Hatch to wrap up the final iteration of the go grab a thing from my portal quests. He didn't even say goodbye. On floor 32, I reached level 33, granting me the final few stat points needed to equip the shield I had been working towards, a massive improvement to my survivability. It's also where I complete yet another go there and kill this guy quest. While doing some repairing and such, I remembered that I am still looking for an ember in a place with molten rocks, which means I missed a quest. Since this is my first playthrough, I want to complete all of them, so I went back to lovely lava land and looked for the location of the ember. It turned out to be on floor 23. As a thank you for giving him the ember, he gives us a map that opens a portal to a strange realm. Now this looks the same as what we just did, but the levels the Vosman gives you access to are some of the most fun areas in the game. They aren't just blast your way through some more of the same content, they are puzzles. In the case of high security, it's all about figuring out which levers to pull and in which order to do that. Each lever opens a couple of gates and it's your job to make your way through. Now, I'm obviously not showing you the solution, that would ruin the fun. But what I do want to mention is that I 10 out of 10 love this. Pausing the endless waves of monsters for a brain teaser is amazing design and I can say nothing but kind words about it. An adamant ember in the dwarven ruins is what Vasman is looking for next. It turned out to be on floor 28. Upon delivering the ember to him, he gave us another puzzle portal and asked us to find yet another ember. This portal leads to the Dwarven Vault. This area is all about making your way through that giant field of traps, spikes and death right there in the middle of the room. Like last time, I'm not going to show you the solution. It's a very fun puzzle and I don't want to ruin it for you on your first playthrough. So if you want to know how to solve it, you should go play Torchlight. And if you don't care about how to solve it, you should also go play Torchlight. I know I've sounded critical, but it's from a place of love, trust me, just go play this game. The deepest ember Vasman requested turned out to be on floor 33. Back in town to return the ember, it turned out that I had also dealt with the final name on Trillbot 4000's hit list. At this point I just expect him to be a mob boss, so I don't ask questions. Just like Hatch, he just stops talking to me. Having returned the final ember, I don't even get a quest reward and the silent treatment is just this game's way of saying thank you, I suppose. Only one thing left to do, defeat Ordrak, who is the big evil of this game. With all the other stuff done, I'm sure they won't be too far away. My hunch turned out to be correct. Level 34 has you fighting the fallen Sage Master Alric. He takes very little damage from ricochet, so I used Hail of Arrows again. His power is that he summons Dragonkin. When he's close to being defeated, he runs away while yelling about how he will not be defeated, which is video game speak for how we've almost defeated him, but he wants to jerk us around a bit more before admitting it. Floor 35 or Lair turns out to be the final floor of the game and where Ordrak resides. It's here that Alric sacrifices himself and the big boy comes alive for the final fight. The final boss of this game spawns Dragonkin at you. I'm sure he does other stuff as well, but none of it mattered over the endless waves of Dragonkin. I wish I could be more positive about it, but when I mentioned earlier in the video that I loved all the boss fights except for one, this is the one I didn't love. This is of course pure factual information and I would never tell you an opinion here, but I thought this fight was fucking dog shit. I had to use Arrow Hail instead of Ricochet again, which is fine, but I feel punished for sticking to my skill now. But if that was my only problem with the fight, I would have been fine. My two bigger problems here are twofold. Number one, Ordrak is way too tanky. I spent well over 15 minutes just blasting at this guy hoping for him to explode. Giving a boss so much health doesn't make him hard, it makes him tedious. And the second is that the amount of Dragonkin that gets spawned in is just fucking stupid. Halfway through the fight I was walking over the corpses of dragons instead of the floor. All in all, it just felt like I was playing a different game during this fight. We went from Diablo 1 and 2 style dungeon crawling to just a massive shootout that would put even modern style ARPGs to shame. I mean, look at this, I'm dealing thousands of damage to this guy and his health bar isn't even moving. It's such a huge spike. I don't get it at all. Why would they do this? Maybe it would have gone much better if I had maxed Arrow Hail as my second skill. But how am I supposed to know that on a first playthrough? I think this boss fight would have been so much cooler if he spawned maybe 20% of the dragons and had half the health bar. The design itself is so well done. The incarnation of corruption looks amazing. He even has a cool death animation. With Ordrak defeated, it's time to go and talk about what I thought of this game. Throughout the entire playthrough, the Diablo inspiration is very obvious, which I personally don't have an issue with. I wish there were more of these kind of games. Enemy variety, while limited, is of high quality. What is there is done well. I just wish there was more of it. You can also really easily tell that the developers liked the monsters in Diablo 2, because they feel exactly like they do there. All of this game, no matter what part you're thinking of, be it areas, monsters, items or whatever else, it all just works in the style they have chosen. They could have gone for the safe dark gothic style a lot of games do, but decided on trying something else, and it panned out well. Some people will hate it and some will love it, and I for one am in the camp that loves the art direction. I found this game very pleasing on the eyes. The music is done by Matt Wellman, who also did Diablo, so you know it's good. Having a pet as a mercenary is pretty cute. Can't forget about the itemization. I can happily report that it's enjoyable. I found the items in this game to be simple but still interesting to play around with. A job well done on the developer's side. And most importantly, this game is heaps of fun to play. I had a great time with this. It's not a perfect game though. The skill tree was quite disappointing, with me only ending up liking one of the attacking skills and kind of being forced into a second one at the very end. It might be better on the other two starting characters, but there is only one way to find out. The game does overstay its welcome a little bit. It took me 12 hours to get through this playthrough, which is a lot for a game like this. The gameplay itself isn't at fault. Like I said, it feels a lot like Diablo 2 to play, and Lord knows most of us have sank a ridiculous amount of time into that. I think the problem stems from the side quests. They are just the same thing over and over and feel very filler. Now that is with the caveat that I don't know if the quests are randomized like they are in Diablo 1, and I just happened to get a couple very similar ones and just rolled very low on the amount I got. I think I got like 4 side quests in total over the course of 35 floors. I do want to highlight the puzzle levels, those were fantastic. I know I rambled on a bit about the problems with this game, but that is out of love. You know the feeling of seeing something done well, but you know inside that it has the potential for greatness. That is the feeling this game invoked in me. It was good, but dear Lord, did this have the potential to be an all-time great? And please don't misunderstand me. This is still a 7 or 7.5 out of 10 game. But it had the potential to be an 8 or a 9 out of 10, but just didn't quite get there on the final few pieces. Despite its flaws, this game oozes quality, and you will have a great time with it if you decide to play it. Something I highly recommend doing if you haven't done so yet. Anyway, with Tristram, I mean Torchlight saved, there is nothing left for me to do except hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.